This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Harley Race.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
This is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Around the corner and around the world. Welcome to another installment of Wrestling Insiders. I'm Dan Marotti. It is WrestleMania season, but very happy to be joined by the man that taught Hugh Hefner how to wear his robes, John Cena Sr. A pleasure as always, John.
Always an honor, always a pleasure. Fabulous to be here.
A lot more in the news to talk about. We recently spoke about Bill DeMott. What about the lawsuit going on right now by WWE's Dr. Amann and CM Punk? That's really an interesting one. And WWE really spent their time going to bat to back the doctor up, which I respect that.
Well, first of all, I have very little comment on that because I'm not a physician. I don't know if there was sour grapes with CM Punk and Dr. Amann. I don't know what the story is there. I'm staying far away from that. That's something to be decided by the courts, and it will only be proven with medical evidence. And there are a lot of guys out there saying Punk is right, this is that. All I know is that a lot of the people have a lot of respect for Dr. Amann and the WWE, me included.
I know my good friend Bob Hawley had an incident. I don't even know if it was Dr. Amann, but several years back, he had a horrible issue with his arm, which turned into a staph infection. And the WWE medical cleared him enough to the point where Johnny Ace sent him over on a European tour, and Bob almost lost his arm. I don't
and
know
who was the doctor in charge?
I don't know if it was Dr. Amann, so I certainly don't want to include him in something like that. But I know Bob, that was a bad deal. And I like Bob an awful lot.
Bob Hawley's a tremendous individual. My whole thing is the burden of proof is on the one who's accusing. You've got to prove me wrong. I definitely will prove you wrong. So let's see where it goes.
Have you seen the video that WWE produced where they kind of buried him?
Oh, CM Punk?
The Royal Rumble footage? If fans are unfamiliar with it, CM Punk, right around Thanksgiving, did a podcast with Colt Cabana, and he made a lot of accusations against Dr. Amann that sounded, really horrible. Well, Dr. Amann is suing them for defamation and other things. And WWE produced a video of the Royal Rumble 2013 where he claimed he had a giant baseball purple cyst or whatever it may be growing out of his back. Well, WWE produced quite a video in slow motion of just about every angle you could get of CM Punk's ass, and there was no...
I didn't see any ball there, did you?
I didn't, no. So maybe he just exaggerated, maybe there was something there, but you couldn't see it in that footage. And like I said, they went to great lengths to show you that there was no baseball-sized cyst.
Well, you know what? I don't know if you ever read the book or had a copy of the book. I bought a copy out of curiosity. It was called Sue the Bastards. And it's about how we sue for anything and everything in this country.
You're right about that.
There's no other country in the world that allows the frivolous lawsuits that the United States allows.
Amen.
If you go to Europe, you can sue, but if you lose, you pay all legal fees. You have to do all kinds of crazy stuff. They have less lawsuits overseas than we have here. So this may be another case of let's stir the pot, let's throw some more garbage into the soup. It will remain to be seen when it goes to courts who comes out on top. It's the burden of proof lies with CM Punk.
Let me ask you this, Johnny. How does it feel to be AJ Lee right now in WWE? Her husband not only had the falling out with the company that they did, then made that podcast with Colt Cabana back in November that was not flattering to WWE by any stretch of the means, but now the WWE's doctor is suing her husband for $1 million. And then I don't know if you saw the tweet, but she kind of attacked Stephanie McMahon, and I was very angry about that, by the way, because there was nothing of any substance to back up her claims that divas have record-setting merchandise that they sell. That's a bunch of bull. That the divas have had the highest-rated quarter hours in WWE. That's not true. The divas usually drag them down. You know, be honest. I mean, the WWE, the divas have value. I'll give you that. They might not be my cup of tea, but I can't see her countering Stephanie like that, her boss, on Twitter when they began the WWE Share Your Voice campaign. And then she said the women aren't paid on par with the men. Well, the problem is the men are the guys that sell the tickets.
Maybe AJ Lee's time at WWE is coming to an end. And certainly when it's time to leave the shepherd, the sheep have a tendency to become more bold. AJ Lee, like her husband, are very outspoken and very honest. They don't hold anything back. To that, I commend them. There should be more people that are not afraid to speak their minds. So to both Punk and to AJ, I think to their credit, that's fine. Whether she has the documentation to back up her mouth, that's another story for another time, as my friend would say. That only remains to be seen. I think she's kind of foolish to put her head in the noose, especially now with the Bellas not renewing their contracts. Who's the one that's going to...
But they taped that show months ago.
Well, I understand that, but
on Total Divas, if you haven't watched that show, fan.
I don't watch it.
I've never seen it either, but
I'm going to be in trouble, I'm sure. But
I believe the premise was the show ended on a cliffhanger for this season, if they were going to re-sign or not. But that was taped probably last summer or fall.
Are they going to renew their contracts or are they not?
Well, they're still there right now.
Then I guess they're still going to be there. So if they, okay, let's use this premise then. If they decided not to renew their contracts, let's use that, because all the internet wrestling sites have been saying they're not. So the premise is nobody really knows, and that's good. But if they did not, then the most likely person to grab that belt would be AJ Lee or Paige. And I could definitely see a three-way between AJ, Paige, and Natalya. Outstanding.
That'd be a good female match.
Outstanding wrestlers. Look, I'd sit there and watch that all day because they can work and they can wrestle. So let's see what happens with AJ. You know what? You make your own bed. Got to sleep in it.
Well, again, a lot of legal happenings in the world of professional wrestling. What about the one that really got me riled up big time was Cassandra Frazier, the widow of Viscera, suing WWE, claiming that his beatings and his concussions that he received in wrestling were the reason he died of a heart attack, not to take into consideration that he was a 500-pound giant.
Once again, I make the same statement as I made before. It's a frivolous lawsuit. When the medical records are produced, I think you're going to find that all the symptoms that caused this were already in existence. So, you know what? It's always easy to go after the person with the deep pockets. And,
sure is, right?
Yeah, and she started out, remember they were making all the comments about what happened and all that, and she said, absolutely not. WWE was good to my husband. They've been fine with me. Well, and now we got this turn.
Right after he passed, she went nuts. And I'm sure someone from WWE wound up reaching out to her. And then things kind of settled down until this lawsuit was announced.
Well, somebody from the legal division, some lawyer decides that, Dan, I get you a lot of money for your foot. You know what? They're going to squeeze the pimple, hoping it'll burst. In other words, we don't want it to go to court. Because if it gets there, we're going to find out we really don't have a case. And I don't know for sure. I don't know. That's a medical opinion. There was no autopsies done. So you know what? Here we go. One more time. Sue the bastards.
I hope that goes nowhere. WWE claimed that the lawyer representing her has been trying to go after a lot of wrestlers to try and sue WWE. So I hope WWE fights it. The bodies, they get abused in professional wrestling. But again, and I don't know the details of if there even was an autopsy, but he lost some weight, but still a 400-pound man. That's a lot of weight to carry around.
One of the things that you've got to remember in this weight loss situation world, he lost, he gained, he lost, he gained, he lost, he gained. Am I correct? You cannot do that to your heart. You cannot do that to your body. Depending on how he lost it, and when he lost it, and the amount of weight that he lost, sometimes the body just can't take it. So again, I'm not a doctor. I'm saddened by his loss. The last time I saw him was when we did the MWF show. I feel bad for his family. He was a tremendous human being, treated me very well with respect, vice versa. It's a loss to the business. But to do a lawsuit, I'm sure there must be some credibility. I hope there is. And I hope that, and I'm with you, that WWE doesn't cave, that they make it go full suit, just like the CM Punk thing. I want to know the answer.
Sure.
On both cases.
Well, this episode feels like the People's Court almost, Johnny.
Well, let's bring in Judge Judy.
Oh, well, hey, she may be another one of your females of the past. I hope not the present. I hope not the present.
Definitely not. Definitely not. No.
Johnny, so much happened with all these people coming and going. Joe leaves TNA. Mysterio officially leaves WWE. All these lawsuits. It's been an interesting time the past month.
Wow. It's all I can say is wow. The world of professional wrestling is like a cotton candy machine. It is spinning, 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 and there's a lot of fibers coming out on this one.
Well, Johnny, you know we've made recent announcements about my involvement and even Dylan Cage's involvement in this new CCW venture. One thing that really has got me angry, and part of the reason why I really hesitate to deal with these types of groups, and it's no slight to CCW, but I hate to see the abuse of talent. I hate to see anybody screwed. And there's been a lot of examples of it lately, Johnny, and it's really getting under my nerves as far as canceling shows on people that fans have already bought tickets for, having a rough night at the gate and not paying the boys who were expecting some kind of a return on their in-ring matches. You had a show in Everett. I won't mention the man's name, even though I hate him with deep passion. They ran like a fool, ran the night against the Patriots in the playoffs.
What?
And no one went. I mean, usually it's garbage anyway. But, if the guys are going to go show up and work and wrestle, put on a good show, how do you stiff them all? Even the people bringing the ring, they stiffed.
All
Even
I
though,
know is...
you know what, I have to be fair. The money was later turned in for the ring. But, you don't stiff people. I'll tell you this, we had an event in the same venue in December of 2012. Unfortunately, that night, with a little Marathi luck, they had snow. We only had about, my gosh, maybe right around 100 people. It was a disaster. But you know what? Every single piece of talent on that event got what they were paid. And you know where that money came from, and it wasn't from ticket sales. So that's the respect I have for this business. That's the respect I have for the boys. That's me saying...
And the women.
And the women, even though there weren't any on that show. But I mean, you know what? You have to have some honor. You have to have some class. If you don't have the money to pay people, don't run the damn show.
Don't order steak if you can only afford a hamburger. And I would concur. I think that, and I don't know who the promoter is. I don't want to know who the promoter is.
You know who it is.
Well, I don't know, and I don't want to know. And my whole thing is this. Business decisions are what I'm all about. The organization you spoke about just now, that new organization, CCW or whatever it is, I made my opinion known to you, and it will soon be known to them. I would no more run against Super Bowl than I would run against Brock Lesnar winning, you going over Brock Lesnar. It just doesn't make good business sense.
When you have a 55-year-old pussy trying to resonate with wrestling fans in the genre you usually target, kids and men 18 to 34, it's a joke. But I don't want to demean the athletes that are involved, that are actually trained and go out there, like I said, no matter who they're working for, give the fans something to enjoy. At the end of the night, to stiff them like that, I'm very angry about that, as well as, I don't know if you heard about the wrestling marathon we had here in the Boston area over the weekend. That turned into a disaster, too.
Who
and a
ran
lot
that?
of people got screwed. I don't even know. But they had shows Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and Sunday. I guess everybody on Saturday night got stiffed and got pennies on the dollar. Then they canceled the Sunday show. The Ring got screwed again on the ring rental they were promised. You had guys.
Who was the promoter?
I don't know.
I didn't even know about it.
You'd never heard the.
Oh no, they mentioned it at I did a show for APW
Yeah.
that night. They mentioned it there.
That's a sin to me. Whoever that is should never, ever have anything to do with professional wrestling again. You had the Rock and Roll Express expecting to fly in for it and get a payday, and they canceled them. They told them not even to get on the plane. I mean, that pisses me off. You know, why can't this business have a little bit more class, a little bit more integrity, a little bit more character? If you want to run a wrestling show and play the role of Vince McMahon, take care of your damn people. If you can't take care of them, don't do it.
Well, now you know, as I'm saying to you about an organization you were talking to me about, where's my money, half of it up front? I'm certainly not going to gamble and go down and then lose 5 more bookings because they said they will use me for 5 more bookings. So I think what's happened in this business is we don't use contracts. And I blame the indie guys for this and the indie women. You need to believe in your self-worth and in yourself. So if you're being booked for MWF, where's my contract? I want to know exactly what I can do, what I can't do, and what I'm responsible for. And where's my release that you want me to sign in case I'm injured? A lot of places you walk in, you drop your bag, and you wrestle. You know what? It's not good for business. And I keep using that term, and I've got to say this to you, that most of the young people involved in today's indie scene are not business people.
No, they're not.
They're being used and abused. I blame the promoters for taking advantage of them, and I blame the young men and women for allowing themselves to be taken advantage of. I can only tell you this, that the thing in Everett, whoever that was, there is a young man that you're using for your new promotion. BJ was his name. He also goes by a different name.
Okay, yep.
I'm sure he was there that night.
No, actually, he lucked out. He had a better booking that actually paid him a fair rate for a fair night's work.
He's a great performer.
Another different story for a different time.
Great performer.
So unfortunately, he wasn't there to be stiffed and not get paid.
Great performer. My hat's off to him. He is an outstanding young man, underutilized by some promotions, but he is an outstanding performer.
You know, I'm getting riled up just like you did about the school over the summer. But these losers, that's exactly what they are. They're losers with a pipe dream. You know, people can say this, oh, Dan Marati's blunt, Dan Marati talks too much, Dan Marati's an asshole. Go ahead, but you know what? At the end of the day, you go through my roster and you tell me anyone who was ever screwed on something they were promised.
None that I know of.
And
you even offered...
almost 14 years.
I will say that we did a couple of shows together when we first started out, and I remember a show at an ice rink, and you started to pay the talent. I said to you, there's nobody here. You didn't make any money. Give my money to those young men and women who put their asses on the line. I've done that several times with you. We want to make sure that they're rewarded and taken care of. I have no use, and I mean this, no use for individuals who treat talent that way, male or female. It's not right, and it's not fair.
Maybe we should even do a separate video on this, Johnny, down the line sometime in the future, because I think it's very important for the wrestlers coming in, male or female, to understand if everybody gets in wanting to go to WWE, I don't care what they say, understand how their pay structure works there, about how roughly about 15 to 18% of the gross from events, not including merchandise, goes to the talent, and it's split up by where you are on the show. That's very important for talent to learn. You know, some of these independent shows, they just give them whatever they want. Sometimes they give them next to nothing. Sometimes they overpromise. Sometimes, you know, in fair fairness, sometimes the boys try and take advantage of the promoter. That's wrestling. But I mean, if everybody could work together as a team to try and produce the best content possible, the best experience, don't call it a show, it's an experience when it's at its best. Produce the best experience possible, and fans will love it more. If you work as a team.
I agree.
Well,
I agree.
Well, like I said,
you know
that needs to be a video at some point.
I tell you what, and I've said this to you on your organization that you're now going to be working with. I'm in business. I'm a business person. I looked at what you gave me. That's not professional. It's not business-wise. I'm not interested in working for that organization. And I think what has to happen with the young men and women in professional wrestling, in the indie side, is you have to become a business person. You are selling a product. The product is yourself. I determine the price that I want. There are organizations that I do different things for. That's my decision as a business person. And I think these young men and women have to realize that they have a worth, that they are a commodity, and they can demand a price. Why should you give somebody zero? Why should you give somebody $10?
You can't give anyone zero.
Well, I don't care if you run the school or they work for you. You still need to give them something. And they need to be recognized for their ability. And, you know, we could do a whole thing on this.
I think we should
And I think if we
sometime.
do, we should bring in some young men and women from the industry and ask them why. Let's get a documentary about professional wrestling, the indie side, a side you've never seen. Let's put something
Wrestling
together.
101. Because
Could
you know what?
Could be a saleable product.
I've always wanted to see everybody succeed that has a good work ethic, that has the drive to do it, that has the motivation to do it. Those that come in for whatever reason feel like they're entitled to something, like some of the attitudes you spoke of at that school in Andover a few months back. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Whoa, that's
And
the
you know-
promotion they work for. That's what's giving them the ego.
Well, that's the hand job for another story for a different time. But I'm on a
PG.
roll.
We're PG.
I'm on a roll tonight, Johnny. But
Pretty good.
I'm fired up. I'm fired up because I care about these athletes. But most of all, you know who we have to look after in this business? The fans. Because if the fans are pissed on with garbage, they're not going to come back. And that makes it difficult, not just for Promotion X, it makes it difficult for everybody. Because I don't want to kill egos out there, but for the most part, wrestling fans look at everything that isn't WWE under one umbrella. So no matter how much effort, time, love, money I put into what we do, we're still, unfortunately, in the same category as these garbage groups drawing 30 people in these little venues, presenting any guy that'll come in off the street that'll wrestle for free, no matter how unathletic they may be, that have never seen a gym, never mind a man named Jim in their life, and it affects everybody. I don't want to be in the same category as them, but unfortunately that's how, outside of the strong diehard fans, they look at it. And I'm sick of it.
Well
I'm
said.
fired up.
Well said.
Because you and I, we disagree on a lot of things, but we agree on the fact that the fans need to be taken care of first and foremost, and that the boy should be treated as fairly as the event draws.
Without fans, there is and will never be any professional wrestling. You can get out there and bounce in the ring all you want, brother, but unless you have the fans behind you, and unless you have fans buying tickets, might as well have your backyard or your bathroom. So I think you've really given these fans, the people who watch our show, an awful lot to think about. I think the talent needs to think about this. You know, I think I've learned one thing in my life about professional wrestling, that promoters, some of them are users.
And some of them are losers.
That's right. They're in this for their benefit
Sure.
and their benefit alone. That's what promotion's all about. You have to remember, I'm putting on a show, be it wrestling, a circus, or a play. I've got to turn a profit.
Right.
And so if I'm counting on 300 people and I booked you at $30, which I think is a fair price
Sure.
for indie.
Absolutely.
But
here's the litmus test to me, Johnny, not to interrupt you, but you have to be able to sell a ticket. If you can't sell a ticket, you're not worth more than gas money, in my opinion.
I don't argue with you, because my whole thing about anything I do in business is how many asses can you put in that seat? I'm going to mention a talent's name.
Sure.
And I hope he doesn't get offended by this, but every time Tommaso Ciampa has been on the card, there's 25 seats sold automatically. There are other individuals that I know of that do the same thing. Todd Hansen, Brian Malonis, they put asses in seats. Those are the kind of people that you reward. Because if I don't make it, the Japanese theory of investment is very simple. The Japanese theory of investment is simply this. If I make money, you make money. If I lose money, you lose money. If we know that going into this ball game together, then when your $30 turns into $5, you know why. Because we didn't have enough money, we didn't make that much of a profit.
It gives, like I had serious issues with some of them that you know about that are no longer with us in the MWF about simply coming down to the studio to cut a promo. One of the most insulting things ever said to me in 21 plus years of wrestling, and I've heard a lot, believe me, was when a trainer said to me, Sunday is the day independent guys spend with their girlfriends. And that's why this imbecile, and is a good human being, but when it comes to the train of thought of wrestling, flush it down the toilet. For him to say that independent wrestlers waste a day of the week. If you're an independent wrestler that wants to get to WWE, you have to be in this to win it. In it every day, working holidays, working weekends. That's why instead of being on a pay-per-view on a Sunday, you're sitting at home paying to watch the damn thing.
I might agree and disagree at the same time.
Tell me.
If I'm going to work my ass off 6 days a week, and I'm only going to go to this young man right here.
Right? Amen.
325 days last year, maybe 330. No rest, just keeps going. For the fans. Boo him or cheer him, he's out there for you. He's working his butt off for you. I don't know if they'll ever find anybody else that will do that. And I'm not being prejudiced because he's my son. I'm just stating...
It's reality.
I'm stating fact. I think that the comment that was made was poor. I think that if you were cutting promos on a Sunday, I could have said to my girlfriend, we're going to spend 1 hour, won't take me long, 20 minutes, we're going down, I'm going to cut a promo, and then we're going out to eat. I think we alluded to this earlier in the segment we did before. How hungry are you, and what price are you willing to pay for what you're willing to do? I use many people as an example, and all I'm going to say is this. There are no Saturdays and Sundays off.
No.
There are no days. I remember when he was living at home, it was supposed to be, let's say, Wednesday and Thursday. I'd pick him up at the airport on Wednesday, and he'd say, Pops, you got to get me back to the airport Wednesday night. Why? Wednesday and Thursday, your day off. No, I've got to do TV. I've got to do a match. I've got to do some promo work. If you love this business, like Triple H, like The Undertaker, like our friend who's passed away, Percy Pringle, like a Jimmy Snuka, like a Tony Atlas, like a Bray Wyatt, like a Daniel Bryan, there are no days off.
That's what frustrates me, because not only is that a dumb philosophy to have, but as a trainer, it's being passed on to people to give them the same piss-poor work ethic. It has to be every day if you want to get to the dance. I don't care what anyone says. I understand there's girlfriends, boyfriends, jobs, this and that, but professional wrestling needs that type of dedication if you're going to be a success at it.
Well, unfortunately, what that individual, whomever that individual is, and I don't know who it is, but I would say this. You've undersold the business, you've undersold yourself, and you've given little hope to any of those who want to succeed, because they need to know that it's a 7-day-a-week business. You may work a full-time job. When I worked a full-time job, when I got kicked in the head by Randy Orton, the next day or the next 2 days, I was at work with black eyes and a neck brace. I had a concussion. I had 6 stitches. But you know what? It's all about being in the business. And everything comes with a price. Everything in life comes, with a price. I said that to my sons. I have 5 of them. There's nothing in this world that doesn't carry a price with it. Are you willing to pay the price? And if you are, then the reward is great.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
What really gets me hot is that we had Paul Bearer in this studio. The last time I saw him alive, my buddy, who's here with us in spirit in some way, I'm sure.
Does
I
it
love
open?
the guy.
Does it open?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's just a piece of... Oh, made in China! Oh, ho, ho.
Put that down.
Oh,
That's
all
a
right,
tribute
okay.
to our friend, thanks to WWE. My buddy.
They didn't give me one.
Well, hey, I got friends.
I don't get
You
anything
got
from
fr-
them.
Oh,
You get-
yeah, okay.
You get all kinds of stuff. I get nothing. I really don't.
Calm yourself down, brother.
DVDs. Flintstone DVD was good, by the way.
Oh, you think Little
I
Morati
love
would like it?
Oh, I think it's great. I love it.
I want to check that out.
I got a 3D TV and I converted it from 2D to 3D. It's great.
You're so fabulous, brother.
Exactly.
But we had Paul Bearer here to work with these guys, not charging them a penny like some of the seminars. One person came down. We had Ron Simmons, a former world champion, someone that made millions of dollars in his career doing what wrestling students want to do in life. And they didn't come down for it. That's pissing on them. And then I ruffled a few feathers on Facebook because I shared my disgust about it, and keeping in mind the rub that certain talents were getting from JBL when he was active in the Uprising faction, it would only make sense for them to have
Slick
come
Rodney
down
Brown,
and
Tommaso
interact
Ciampa.
with his, cohorts. Ron Simmons in the Uprising faction. A couple took it like a man. One was a little disappointed, and like the trainer was the pussy about it. And then, I don't really, I'm going to have to watch my mouth here because
You're bordering right now on TV 14R.
I want everybody to love the business and work as hard as I do. If you get that in you, you have a chance.
But
if you're going to do it with thinking you have to take days off and figure this and that out, it's not for you. Not everybody is meant to be a professional wrestler that wants to be. I've said it before. I'd love to be the first baseman for the Boston Red Sox. I love baseball. I enjoy baseball. I played baseball when I was a kid. But you know what? I'm not going to be the first baseman for the Boston Red Sox. It ain't happening. So sometimes you got to get out of the pipe dream, live the dream, have your wet dream, but then you wake up to reality. If you can't do it right, don't do it. That's my plea. I'm begging. I'm not attacking Johnny. I'm begging. I'm imploring. Please, if you want to do it right. It's 100% involvement. You're going to lose girlfriends as a result of it. You're going to be stressed out with situations with your family, with your job if you have one, if you're going to school, and I hope everybody that wants to try and train in wrestling is at least going to get a college degree of some sort to have a backup plan. That's the business. You have to sacrifice for it.
Well,
but when you're in it right, it is the greatest experience in the world.
Let's put it this way. One, you're not going to lose girlfriends. You're going to get more girlfriends.
Well, just ask him.
You're going to get more. Who's that?
You.
Oh, you're going to get more girlfriends. You will have heartache. You will have to sacrifice. You will have to give up a lot of things. But I always said this, and I will continue to say it as long as I'm alive. If you find somebody who loves you, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, how about significant other? Good word to use?
Sure.
Because I respect that. Significant other, Darren Young, I think that's, it's open, and the world is a better place.
If you're a happy person and you're not bothering anybody,
God bless.
Who cares?
Well, God bless. Because you know what? I had an argument with somebody, and the argument was, blah, 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 and then somebody made a statement, they're a danger to the world, worse than global warming, and I said, would you agree that you're saying that God really is, because you were a man of the cloth that said this, then if it's so bad, why does he keep making them? They're just like you and I. The Merchant of Venice, if you cut my veins, I bleed red. So you know what? It's time to respect everyone.
Everybody's just a spirit put into a body that eventually is going to disintegrate. What you do with that spirit when you're alive, to me, is what's most important.
Anyway,
but that's really a different story for a different time.
We could do another DVD on that.
Sure.
Back on track is, I'm a firm believer that you look at the mountain. Can I climb it? Maybe I can't. And you walk away. 'Tis far better to have tried and failed than not have tried at all. And with all of this comes sacrifice. And if you have someone that truly cares for you, and it's not just I'm accumulating girlfriends or boyfriends, female wrestlers, male wrestlers, or whatever, and they truly care for you, then they sacrifice with you. They're willing to give up. They're willing to accept. They're willing to understand. Everything in life comes with a price. Are you willing to pay that price? I said that when I got the divorce. I said to my former spouse, I said, everything comes with a price. Are you willing to pay that price? Apparently she was. I wasn't, but she was. So you need to think about this. To get upset over individuals who make those kinds of statements.
It drives me nuts,
But
Johnny.
I can't,
and maybe I get too angry about it. But
I can't condemn that individual. I can't condemn anyone. All I can say is that you need to put your brain in gear before putting your mouth in motion. That maybe it came out the wrong way.
And I'll be fair, that's very possible.
Instead of people saying to you, look, Dan, if you're holding it at a gym, if you were holding it at any place but the Melrose TV studio, I might be willing to come down and take a shot. I really don't like what you're doing, and I don't like the way you're doing it. Why not man up or woman up and say how you really feel.
I'd respect that.
And I respect that a lot. Well, what did I tell you today over what you showed me?
Sure.
I gave you how I felt, and I really don't want to lose the money, but at the same time, guess what? I'm not satisfied with what I see, so it's better that we remain friends and I part company with the company. And I'm sure they won't lose anything.
Yeah, I disagree with that, but we'll see.
So that's my thought on what you've just said. And I don't get quite as boisterous or loud or as upset as you.
Well, go back to June, brother.
Well, when I talked about the talent from
The same
that
school from
particular
that's
school
training, those
and
people you
that
were hot with.
wrestling organization. Unfortunately, they have put, and these individuals are stupid enough to be brainwashed. Because will they?
They don't know any better, though.
And one
when
of
you pay your money to go to a school, you're trusting that these people know what they're doing.
But one of these guys has already said, well, I'm scheduled for a tryout. Well, you know what? Good luck. You may get the tryout. And if you're lucky enough to get the position, you won't last because of the ego you carry. But then that's part of growing up. We all have been there. I've always got that slap in the face when I thought I was just a little bit better and found out wrong. So you know what? I have the book of life. I have a lot of chapters in there. So write your own chapters, live your own experiences, and ultimately, we'll see who's right.
I know, I'll end the segment on this. I know that fans that are involved with our program and the MWF and BostonWrestling.com, you know, they say I get a little hot sometimes, but as I put a disclaimer up on my column, all I want is for people to get into this business for the right intent, work as hard as I do, and work for promotions that treat them in the business the right way. So ultimately, in the end, the fans win. The more fans that come out and spend their money on professional wrestling events, the more quality job it creates. I wish everybody success if they can do it the way I just put out. Everybody. But unfortunately, that's not the way it is, and that's what frustrates me so much, to the point that I'm under the same umbrella as those folks, and I don't deserve that.
We all have a different concept of how to do business. If we all had the same concept of how to do business, then it'd be a boring world for business. We'd all be doing it the same way. There'd be no unique ideas. There'd be no different ways to try to sell it, no different ways to try to market it. Vince McMahon would market it the same way TNA would market it, the same way that MWF would market it, APW, BTW, SCW, I don't care who you use, they'd be doing the same product. It's the innovativeness, it's the ability to make yourself different from the norm. It's your ability to say, I am the best and here's why. And so that's what business is all about. So regardless of how they joke about it or make storylines up about it on WWE, they truly believe they are doing what's best for business.
Sure.
You, in your own mind, you're doing what you believe is best for business. And John Cena Sr., with what you offered me, I did what I thought was best for business for me. Maybe a bad decision on my part, but guess what? It's not good business for me, and it's not best for me. So I'm going to do what's best for business for me. So we can only discuss about those issues. We can only look at some of the decisions made by those individuals, and then we can only say to them, the greatest teacher in the world is life. You're 20 years old.
Not anymore.
No, to these individuals.
Sure, I'm just joking.
So now go out and experience what this book of life has to offer. End of story. You know, I raised 5 sons.
You did a great job.
God was good to me. It's a long story, another story for another time. I had a wonderful partner in life. She decided it was time to go in a different direction. God bless her. I wish her no ill, and we're very good friends. But I raised 5 sons. I wasn't the best father. I wasn't the worst father. I had a lot of faults. Mm-hmm. Temper was one. But you know what? Ultimately, it was the book of life and experience that showed me where I was right and where I was wrong. You're young and inexperienced. You get, with these professional wrestlers that we're talking about, you get filled full of BS. You believe because you sell out one venue, you're the guy that's doing it. It's teamwork. Do you think it's a Dolph Ziggler, a Daniel Bryan, a Roman Reigns, I'll tell you, a Brock Lesnar, an Undertaker, a Bray Wyatt? It's a combined effort by all to make a product that works.
Right. Well, I didn't mean to go as in-depth.
You have that right. This is an open forum.
It
You've
is.
told me many times it's an open forum. And you know what? I think it's good.
I don't think I've ever shut you down for anything.
No, and I didn't shut you down. I think it's good that people understand who you are and what you're about and what you believe in your heart. Regardless of what I think or they think, TS. Each of us has an opinion. You and I love the business more than somebody else. That's fine. I can't force my views on them. I can certainly voice my opinions, which I have in locker rooms. I have a real problem with young men and women who can't sell, who have no respect. You know how I feel. But then again, that's our opinion. We can only tell you how we feel. Another story for another time.
Johnny, I'm telling you, someday the Cena Marathi School of Professional Wrestling is going to open, and it's going to be like the students are going to get PhDs, brother. But fans, don't forget we have Tony Atlas coming back to the studio Wednesday,
25th.
March the 25th. Mr. Cena will be here as well. We have a limited number of spots for folks to come in and join us. It's going to be kind of a cool experience, even though it's in the afternoon. We have the Indiegogo campaign going to try and help Tony get this documentary produced with us so we can really put together a full-fledged media release in 2015. Plus, Tony needs a little help right now. He's looking for bookings. If you're involved in the industry and you can help Tony make a couple bucks, contact us. We'll set you up, get you a great deal with a great guy. He's willing to work for the money. He's not looking for a handout. And like I said, the rewards are awesome. Title belts, Tony's drawings, in-ring sessions, dinners, phone calls. I mean, just about anything you can imagine. The Indiegogo link is on this page. And then again, Johnny, March 29th, it's Rafflemania.
What you gonna do, brother, when you win Rafflemania?
Fans, don't miss a day on the BostonWrestling.com super site as well as our social media platforms. Until we speak again, for the fabulous one, John Cena Sr., I'm Dan Marathi. We hope you and yours stay well.